Welcome to this video, the 3 secrets to success. And specifically, I'm talking about success when it comes to recovering from illness. So these 3 steps to success are the outcome of many years of clinical experience, helping people recover from all types of health conditions. Many types of health conditions, including chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, irritable bowel, ME, and many other health conditions. And what I've observed is that when people follow these 3 steps, they're much more likely to get the result they're wanting. And this was the case for me as well. So let's look at these 3 steps to success. Step 1, we need to be ready. We need to be at that point where we say, I'm ready to do whatever it takes to get a result. That point within us where we're absolutely 100% determined that we're going to turn this situation around. So I'll give an example. When I was ill with chronic fatigue, I had been signed off work and sent home and told by the doctor there was no cause for why I was ill. They didn't know what was causing the fatigue and they didn't have an answer, and that I should just go home and rest. And after 3 months, one day I sat on the couch and I thought to myself, I can't continue to live the rest of my life like this. I just can't. And I didn't know how I was going to get better, but I just knew within me that somehow I was going to find a way. And in that moment, I told myself, I refuse to stay ill like this for the rest of my life, and I'm going to find the answers. And in that moment, I was ready for something new. And from that moment on, all sorts of answers started to come my way. Now, it was still a long journey after that moment because I was searching by myself. I didn't have anybody like myself who'd been through it and who knew the answers. I was flailing around in the dark, trying many different therapies, nobody still really knowing what was wrong, what the solution was, until finally I had my turning point moment 5 years later, where I suddenly saw the connection between emotions and symptoms. And from then on, I started getting better. But the point here is that I reached this moment in time where I finally was ready to A, start getting well, and B, start doing something about it. So we can also liken this readiness to the fruit being ready to drop off the tree. If we try and pick the fruit too early, it's going to be sour, it won't taste good, and it'll be a complete waste of picking it off the tree. There comes a time when we are naturally ready and things will start to flow and move for us. Now, one of the reasons that we have to be ready and we have to reach this moment of readiness is that we're going to be stepping into the unknown. As Einstein said, you can't solve a problem from the same level of consciousness that created it. So what we're going to have to do in order to solve our problem is we're going to have to find a different way of resolving it than we may have previously resolved our problems up until now. And that may require that we're going to have to step into the unknown. And unconsciously, we can hold ourselves back from doing this. Because even though it may be uncomfortable to be where we are, we may be in pain, either mentally, emotionally, or physically, there's a certain familiarity with where we are. So on our journey to change and transformation, we're going to have to step into the unknown, and we're going to have to do things differently. And this is why we need to be absolutely ready. But the interesting thing is, once we reach that place of readiness, all of a sudden, the unknown, which was previously scary, is no longer scary. Now, this move from the unknown to the known is made 100 times easier if we have a guide to lead us. When I was looking for answers to all the different ailments that I had, I literally had nobody to really properly guide me. I was going to see a lot of therapists, but most of them didn't know how to help me. Some of them I was making a little bit of progress, but nobody could really figure out the full picture of why I had symptoms. Had I had a guide like myself back then, I could have fast-tracked everything, and I could have got across that rope bridge much faster and with much less fear. So this is why we need to be ready. The second step in success is openness and willingness to see things differently and to do things differently. Now, there's a saying that says, you can't fill a cup that's already full. So if you imagine you have all your knowledge and all your beliefs about how the world works and what creates illness and why you're ill and what you've known up until now, that cup may be full. And in order to move forward, some of that cup may need emptying. So we need to be open and ready and willing to receive new ideas and new perspectives. I can't tell you the number of times that I've spoken with people and they've come to me and they said, I've got this XYZ problem and I really want to get rid of it. And then I ask them if they're ready and willing to see things differently, and they're not. And then they go away because they're just not ready to be open. So we must have open-mindedness and we must be willing to see things from a fresh perspective. Another factor in openness and willingness is that we need to be ready to be guided by somebody who's walked this path before us. Now, many years ago, I went to Nepal and I went on a 15-day trek in the Himalayas. And we had a guide who had done that trek at least 20-30 times. And he knew exactly where to go. Now, I can assure you that if I had tried to find my way along that path, and it wasn't even really a path, hard terrain, very steep terrain, going through remote villages, walking along tracks that didn't even look like a track. If I'd tried to make my way along that track by myself, I would not have gone more than half a kilometre, and then I would have been completely lost. But with our guide, he guided us every step of the way, and we never had to think about where we were going. All we had to do was follow him. We had people carrying our bags. We just carried a light backpack. We had people cooking our meals, putting our tents up. Everything was done, and all we had to do was walk. We just had to follow the guide and the Sherpas, and we arrived at our destination, and we had a fantastic time along the way. Now, this is very similar to when you are coached by an expert who absolutely knows the terrain, has walked it many times, and knows exactly how to lead you from A to B. But you have to be open and ready and willing to be guided by this person. And when you do this, you will reach the summit, because if they know how to get there, they can take you there. You just have to be willing to be guided. Another thing that we have to be ready and willing to do is to invest in ourselves. Often, many people can find it very difficult to spend money on themselves for their own well-being. And people can think that it's selfish to invest in themselves. But if we don't invest in ourselves, we're not going to get where we want to go. So as the saying goes, do something today that your future self will thank you for. We must invest in ourselves, and we must learn that it's not selfish to look after ourselves. The third step in success is commitment. Once we've decided that we're going to do something, we need to absolutely commit to it. Now, we're going to need this commitment because in order to cross this bridge of the unknown, we're going to need trust. And that is also going to require courage. So if you're looking to change a situation that you've had enough of, you need to ask yourself, am I ready? Am I ready to commit to what it takes to getting from A to B? Am I willing to commit my time, my energy, and my money? And if you absolutely are, if that fruit is ready and ripe to drop off the tree, then you're in the perfect place to move forward. So these are my 3 keys to success. And there's no doubt in my mind, looking back at all the people that I've worked with, and also including myself, these are the 3 keys that really bring the results that we want.